Alright guys, before today's episode, just a quick reminder that tickets are still available for our next live show at the Pavilion Theatre on 31st of March in Glasgow. Get them now, they are selling fast. And of course, as ever guys, what can people do?
They can sign up to the Patreon, £3 a month or more if you want. And that gives you access to lots of bonus content. It gives you access to the live shows.
5 of them on there.
5.
Yeah, extra
Early
episode.
dibs on new live shows.
Yes, extra episode every 2 weeks.
Yes. A lot of fun.
Great stuff.
Absolutely.
Anything else? They
You
can email us.
can email us, we don't
We've all
usually
got
plug that.
stand-up
at the start.
shows as well. We should plug. I
Glasgow
guess.
Comedy Festival
That light's
stand-up
gone.
shows, that's fine. I'm doing solo show 13th of Feb, if this goes out before then. If not,
Unlucky. It was a great show.
when you get shows at the...
Yeah, the stand. I think it's the Tuesday the 19th of March. Love that for me. My last Fringe show, and I've got 2 whips at Van Winkle on the 16th and 23rd.
Brilliant. Steve,
Mine's is sold out, but
so you don't have anything
Don't
to
worry
plug.
about it.
I've got some big things coming, guys, in the pipeline. You better believe it. Yeah, short film.
It's not even a big thing then, it's a short
It's a
thing.
short. I've got a short thing.
Yes. But hopefully see you at the live show, guys. Sign up to Patreon if you haven't already. And aside to that, enjoy today's episode.
Enjoy.
Cheers, enjoy.
Welcome to the Some Laugh Podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Some laughs.
Well, no promising all laugh.
No,
It's
there's going to be some.
some laugh. Welcome to the show, Elliot.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thanks for
I
coming
like
on.
your jumper. That's cool.
Oh, fair. I got it from a place called Vendetta. Right? Why am I fucking on another podcast giving brand sponsorship already within 30 seconds?
We've been doing that with Iron Brew for about 2 years.
Hoping that they'll get back to us.
Aye.
Brats,
Is it
that?
Bratz or does it just look like it?
Yeah, so it's Jennifer's. It's from the film, Megan Fox from the film Jennifer's Body, and then they do like a Bratz tapestry thing, and their main thing was like, make sure you only hand wash this, and I have thrown it into the washing machine in every single occasion because I can't.
good, though.
I can't have nice. Like if I ever made like a substantial amount of money, I couldn't get a Rolex because I would leave it like somewhere. Do you know? And not like in a green room or
Yeah.
on the side of a gym. They wouldn't. There's no point of me owning nice things because I just trash them. So like every now and then, someone like sends me something and they're like, "How do you enjoy the product?" And I'm like, "Well, I lost it within like 2 weeks."
I actually had to buy these glasses again the other week
did
because
you?
I lost them when I was in London. I just lost them in a pub, and then it's like, phoned the pub. Did they have them? No. Well, I guess they're just lost forever now.
Someone stole my bag from a pub a few weeks ago.
Oh, was it no your? And it had your headphones in
I
it.
had my headphones in, and I got given by my agency years ago because I turned up there. I needed to carry some things home. I think they gave me like a load of DVDs to like turn up, and I was like, "Oh, I'd to them," and they went, "We've got
The DVDs of other comedians. Like,
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
this.
of my dad." So my dad's a comedian as well, for people who don't know, and my dad went to bring a DVD out years ago, and you can look this up online. Guess how much my dad's DVD costs?
Now,
Second hand.
Guess how much it is? Like just
Tenner.
£70.
Whoa.
because the warehouse that it was stored in got burnt down in the London riots. So they'd come like a finite. So for the company to make profit, they're like, we have to. And I was like to my dad, like, you're not the main victim of the London riots, but you should be on, like a NAM vet who was killed. Like you should be on the board.
maybe benefit of it. It's fucking 70 quid a pop for a
70
DVD.
quid for a Mark Steele French Revolution DVD.
Did they sell any when it was 70 quid?
No one's buying. What? If you buy that, you've got too much money.
Yeah.
If you're paying 70 quid for a Mark Steele Vive la French Revolution,
Champagne socialists, am I right?
That'll be the sign you've made it when you rock up with a Rolex and one of your dad's DVDs.
just end up losing my dad's DVD as well. Oh, fuck's sake.
I didn't necessarily want to start with this, Elliot, but do you know, I've always been really curious because obviously your dad Mark is a comic, and just for the fact that obviously you started comedy young, but the comedy is such a weird world, and I couldn't imagine, like, because I've got to imagine that a lot of your sort of childhood memories and stuff, like with people that are your dad's mates and whatever, were all like comics, like well-known comics and stuff.
Yeah, it was chaos. It was terrible parenting. Do you ever piece bits of your childhood together and go, That was like a form of abuse. that was bad. That was terrible parenting. And yeah, my dad. Well, he used to go on the road all the time. My dad. So when he was at his sort of height of fame, around about 2003, he had a show called The Mark Steele Lectures. Was on BBC Two, and you guys will know, like making a show, like they would go around the world. They would go around the world filming stuff. So you'd be writing a show for like 8 months. You then go away for 4 months to film the show, 4 or 5 months, and then you'd have to edit the show for 2-3 months. And so after all this was done, and my mum, who also worked a job, you know, my dad decided to reward the family by taking himself and only himself to South Africa for 3 weeks to watch the Cricket World Cup. And just left. And I'm like 6 years old. I haven't been seeing my dad since I'm like 4 and a bit. And he just was like, yeah. And he made my mum drive him to the airport to leave us for 3 weeks. And I look back at that and I'm like, that was fucking... Yeah, that's why they weren't married, but that's why they separated. That's why that happened when I was like 6.
Do you think there's a bit of you though? Because you know how like that way your parents always look at how easy you've got your life and compared to what they probably dealt with. Like there's a bit of you, if you ever have kids, you'll probably like, do you know what? I should just fuck off to South Africa for 3 weeks.
I'd be a terrible husband and a terrible father. I have no natural... My niece, who's 2, my mum was looking after her the other day, and my mum messaged like, Ray really wants to FaceTime you, and I was in bed hungover, and I made up that I was out. I was just too hungover to be like, to pretend, do that. Oh my god! I was like, it's fucking. I'll watch her grow up another time. And that's bad. But that means I shouldn't have kids. I think too many people have kids because they think my parents shouldn't. 2 people who got together, they shouldn't have had kids. Like, if there was a test you had to go through to have kids, they'd have failed.
They would have failed it.
They'd have failed the theory test. They wouldn't have even got to the practical. They shouldn't have children. And I think I've got a little bit of that in me where I can't, you know, especially at this stage of my life, like, I'm going to fuck off to Glasgow for a weekend and do a podcast.
Yeah.
You can play them this clip in 10 years when you've got 2 little ones.
Yeah. I think it changes though when you have kids. You change as a person, probably. I would imagine. I don't have kids, but I've heard that.
But what if you don't? Because you have to actively make change.
Yeah. And you get a lot of cunts that are parents as well, don't you? So
yeah, that's what I was. So many people you watch who have. I can think of a few good parents I know who have kids. And there's another few people I'm like, yeah, man.
Start naming them.
call them out.
It's like you shouldn't even be trusted with a Tamagotchi. It's not. You're raising a person. The reason there's so many people in the world that are like arseholes and stuff, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
They were raised by people who didn't bother to raise them.
Yeah.
And then they're just let out into society.
Yeah.
And now I have to deal with them. And they have to deal with me as well. I'm part of it. I have a complete God complex. Like the minute someone's getting onto a bus when I'm trying to get on and they start fiddling around and talking to the bus driver, I'm like, if this person didn't exist, my life would be better.
Yeah.
Do you ever have that? Am I being a psycho here?
Yeah, but like,
But you've got more perspective.
I've got a bit of perspective where I'm like, yeah, they can go on the bus as well. But I have had that before as well. Like that sort. I think as a stand-up, you do naturally have it a bit, don't you? If you're
like the
on
God
stage,
complex thing.
yeah. If you're on stage trying
It's
to
a
make
selfish
people
thing
laugh,
to do.
yeah, exactly.
Narcissist.
And it gets to your head. So
Speaking of narcissists, do you want to tell them who you're on the bus with the other day?
Alex Salmond.
That's right.
Really?
Yeah.
What's he doing on the
Where
bus?
was
The world
he?
is
His
his feet
prison?
and he's on the
No.
bus.
There was a bus to a plane.
Was he on the back wanking?
Not far off. It was on a bus to the plane, like from the terminal.
I wondered why you were on the bus. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I'm not going to be on a
come
bus. Come on.
Were you there? Was this at the airport?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And so he was just. Were people talking to him and stuff?
A guy next to him was talking away, and he's doing Turkish TV now.
I just saw that today.
Is he?
Yeah.
What's
Is
that?
Turkish chat shows?
Because
New hair and teeth.
he used to be
In Turkey, I presume. He's
Well,
flying back and
maybe
forth.
that's where he was going.
maybe yeah.
Imagine he had just came back and they had fucking veneers.
Steve gets a worldwide exclusive.
Like a North Face jumper, and like a dodgy one. And then he tried to gaslight everyone. He's like, no, I've always had veneers.
If you're getting yourself, forget the badge.
Alex Salmond turning up in a Stony.
Yeah, I was thinking he looked fucking rough, but like he's never looked.
He's not looked
sexy,
amazing.
has
No.
he? Never
He's
had.
been through a hard time to be for, like.
Been through a lot.
He's done that to himself though, didn't
Yeah, it's still a hard time.
he? True. Yeah.
I'm rubbing shoulders with celebs, eh?
Nah, what can I say? It was,
Did he recognise you? You know,
no, because I was like, is that the W.H. Smith guy?
the people of Scotland love your videos, Steve.
No, he was like, he came on, sat across from me, and then I was like, all right, because I just recognised him, but I didn't know, it didn't click, and then I was like, oh, that's fucking Alex Salmond, and then I'll try to look back, and he just kind of averted his eyes.
What have you got to do to get recognised of Steve? You like nearly led us to independence.
Who's that guy who's
Got to school with that guy.
One of the most important Scottish political figures of the last 20 years. What the fuck is that? Does he know my dad?
Did you used to teach me in school or something? This is Steve, who's currently working on a satirical politics
Yeah, he
show.
does an impression of him on the radio.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I did want to say that.
That's
I
fine.
didn't.
Fair enough.
Well-
Anyway, we got sidetracked there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I came up.
God complex.
Yes.
You guys have it?
yeah, probably.
Here and there. But as I've gotten older, it's come more
Yeah.
It's I think it's a thing, it's that thing of like anyone who works in like the entertainment industry on the performing side, you have complete narcissism at times, and other times they're like, I'm a piece of shit, I'm never gonna achieve
Imposter
anything.
syndrome.
Yeah, and you swing between the two, and the two sort of help each other, because you get the God complex of like, you crush a gig and go, I knew I was the best thing ever, and then sometimes you don't, and you go, I should.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, they're both forms of narcissism, really, aren't they?
Yeah,
'Cause
pretty much.
Yeah.
thinking you matter more than you do.
And it grounds you a bit.
But do you think that like, is that environment a kind of showbiz and comedy and stuff like that, just growing up in that? Like, was there a moment when you realised as you got older that, like, oh, this isn't how, like, this isn't the sort of normal environment most people I go to school with or something, grew up around or that kind
Yeah,
of stuff?
my dad did a really cool thing because he was on TV. He did this amazing thing where he realised I was thick and wasn't going to send me to private school. And I swear to God, I quote, "What a waste of everyone's resources." Was when I asked why I didn't go. I was like, you could have.
Another week at the cricket.
Yeah. And then and also like when you've got a dad who's going to go watch the cricket when you go to a state school in South London, do your son a favour and send him. You could send him to private school so they can go, my dad's at the cricket, and not get beaten up. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of realised that when I was younger it wasn't normal, but I used to be envious of everyone else because their parents had a normal job and their houses weren't chaos, and it wasn't all. It was very. A lot of people lived a very live, laugh, love life. Like that, you go. You know, it was not
Basic.
not basic. I don't want to say basic, but it was like more. Yeah, basic. It was and growing up, and the one thing that I say, the biggest thing that was afforded through the nepotism that I've had was you're aware it's a viable career path. Like there's so many comedians I meet, and the biggest step for them was having to explain to their family that they were going to be a comedian. Yeah. They were going to quit their job and they were going to drive up and down the country and tell jokes to people for money. Yeah. And that's what they're going to do with their life. But my parents understood that. They were like, yeah, we get that that's what you're going to do because my dad had done it. So it wasn't...
Did he have to explain to his parents that he was going to do?
I don't think... So my dad was adopted. My grandma...
His granddad was Charlie Chaplin.
Is they talking about that Charlie Chaplin had a problem where he's like, you're going to say stuff?
I just got from like the comedians, but we all gradually get worse as ex. But his natural dad is a guy called Joe Dweck, who turned out to be like this Jewish guy who's a billionaire. My dad's like a massive socialist.
Wow,
That was a fucking great day when we found that out.
When did you learn that?
A few years ago. Right. And I got and my dad was like, "Oh, you got an aunt called Cairo Dweck." So I looked her up. She's a supermodel, and I was like, "This is." It's hard. It's hard to find out your aunt's fit, man. when you haven't met him before, it's hard to be like, damn, I got a hot aunt. This is annoying. But as if that was the only thing ever stopping me. And her and by the way, she's a supermodel on her mum's side.
Right.
Like it's the mum that I think is doing the heavy lifting with the supermodel part.
So the genes haven't passed down.
It's not the steel Dweck side that is pushing her into that industry. But my grandma, she's just an old English lady who's quite oblivious to things. Like if she'll call me, and I will tell her I'm in another country doing shows, and she'll go, "Oh, what's the weather like?" and that's it. And you go, "Oh, yeah, it's a bit warm."
Right,
she goes, "That's all right, it's raining here." I go, "Oh, yeah, it was Eve for a minute." She goes, "Yeah." that's the phone call. My dad's gone through cancer treatment at the moment, and I still don't think she quite understands he's got cancer. And she's like 99. She's not delusional. She's still with it.
Yeah.
She just doesn't understand things that are outside the world of like a ham sandwich in the weather. That's all she gets. That's her life. I don't know if you guys have grandparents like that. They don't.
Aye, I've got my grands like that. Aye.
Yeah, but I think I don't know if it's a generational thing or if it's like back then they wouldn't want to talk about or they couldn't talk about deeper things, so they're just like, "Oh, let's talk about the weather." You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I never met my granddad because I had another granddad, Morris, who ended up dying. But I have a lot of fucking granddads, and
Are any of them supermodels?
No, Morris wasn't. No, let it all down. He wasn't signing with Storm Modelling Agency anytime soon. My dad's dad who raised him. My dad found out like we always knew he fought in the war, but he was an engineer in the Navy. And then I think he was at Tripoli in Italy where the Americans and the Brits nearly got pushed back into the sea. Like it was a big fight with the Nazis, and I think he ended up getting called into action and like would have killed people essentially, and then came back and stiff upper lip, raise a kid.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's why that generation was fucked, because you went out there, saw the horrors of war, probably did horrific things. Like the Americans and the Brits, when they arrived in these places, they were like welcomed in, and then the soldiers were just as bad to the people of this town that they've just liberated, probably as the Nazis were, and then came back and were like, all right, better raise a kid now, and then talk to anyone about it. And that's why that generation was just, they were just fucked.
And if they ever said, "Oh, I was in Tripoli," they're like, "What was the weather like?"
Birds are pissed at the whole time.
we will fight them on the beaches, not if it's drizzly.
Wow, that's fucking incredible. You just finding all that out a few years ago as well. About that.
Like, can he get money from his biological dad if he's a billionaire? Because is it not like you have to give it to your kids or something? You can't write them out a will, can you?
I think you can.
Can you?
Yeah, I don't think there's a law that you have to give it to your kids.
I thought you had to give some portion of money to your kids.
Perhaps, but he's not. We're not. We had to make it quite clear when they were in contact. I wasn't involved in any of this process whatsoever. My dad made it quite clear, like, I'm not after anything. Yeah. I'm not trying to come.
Listen, my DVDs are selling for £70.
You're the only cunt that can afford one, actually. But my dad's not particularly. He's financially driven as like anyone is, but he's not. I don't think that level of money or that. Yeah, I think being that money hungry to go after someone like that would be quite a bad thing, and I think my dad's quite happy not being like that. Yeah, you know, and would be quite proud of himself to not do that. I would rather, on the other hand, take him to court.
Here's a question: like, see if you did become like a bit like you just somehow became a millionaire, billionaire, would you still do stand up? Do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Aye,
100%.
But would you tell anyone? Because that would maybe change people's perspective of it.
That's why I don't do the lottery. Because I'm scared of winning.
Really?
Yeah, because I like the idea of having money, but I can't manage money.
Right.
So if I came into, firstly, like if you went, so
That's the God complex, by the way. The reason you think if I do the
destroy
lottery,
the
I will
universe.
win it.
but that's because that's why I always gamble. I like a fiver on a football, but I don't go any more than that. Every vice there is, I fall into. But luckily, I get so distracted by a new vice, I forget to get addicted by the old vice. So there'll be like a few weeks I'm like into drugs, like yeah, this is great, and then it'll come like this, and then like, I'll go like I fucking love gambling, and then it'll go drink, and then I'm like I like jiu-jitsu actually, and like, I just whatever it is, I do it for like 2
The
weeks.
worst vice of all.
And you're never like off your nut doing jiu-jitsu and then placing a bet or anything. You're never doing it all at the same time.
No, I do. I have. So I see it's like a triangle of three things. So, well, obviously, but it's a triangle. But I clearly, I like going out. I like doing stand up, and I like going to jiu-jitsu. But I can only do 2 of the 3. But it's always stand up. Always has to kind of be in there annoyingly. Even though I love stand up. But sometimes I'd love to just go out and get fucked and do jiu-jitsu the next day. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But I go, I can't do that and stand up. Because then I'm not going to write for a show, or I'm not even going to want to. I'm going to cancel a gig,
Yeah.
and so that sort of trifecta, I always have to go. Like I'm probably at my best when it's just jiu-jitsu and stand up.
Yeah.
But every now and then it is good to let you know the demons take over and go on a night out and like have a week of going out and stuff. Because I think that also gives you a bit of something to talk about or an edge or that bit that makes you do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably what makes me a competent stand-up to some part.
Yeah.
Like during the Fringe, do you just go out and get?
Yeah, man, it's a fucking disaster. every year I try, man. I've just,
Is that what jiu-jitsu goes out the window? Is it?
I paid 90 quid to go 2 jiu-jitsu lessons last Fringe. I signed up to a jiu-jitsu gym on the first day, a place called Low Tide. It was a really good gym. I went there, I was like, this is fucking great. The guy told me this story. Really cool guy. He was asking what I was doing up there. I was like, I'm at the Fringe. And he was from South London, so we were having a bit of a chat. And he went, he's like, last year we had comedians come drop in. He's like, they lasted at most 2 weeks. I was like, don't worry, mate, I'll be here for the full run. And I never saw that man again. I never saw him again. I just gave him 90 quid and left, and that was it. But
Been better getting 1 1/4 of your dad's DVDs.
I paid more for 2 jiu-jitsu lessons.
Well, I know that you obviously doing jiu-jitsu and stuff like that and stand-up led to you doing quite an interesting gig recently that you got to do. What was the gig exactly?
I still don't really know. It was I got to do. So do you guys follow the UFC at all?
No.
They don't really add
Right.
So for
The
the listeners that
So,
maybe
yeah.
don't follow it and
Talk to
Steve's
us like
shares.
we're dumb bitches.
So there's a guy on the UFC. The first ever British champion was a guy called Michael Bisping, who's kind of like the Gary Lineker now the UFC in the commentary position.
Right.
He's really good at commentator.
Loves crisps.
Loves crisps. And he was doing one of those. He did his shows years ago called Tales from the Octagon. It went really well. So they got another load in. And the gig kind of got put, they wanted an opener, and the gig got passed around a few comedians, and a few of them were like, no, this sounds like it could be a
Where's
nightmare.
this taking place? In like a theatre or something?
So the O2 Indigo in London, which is in the O2, and at the Manchester Apollo. Right. So the big gigs. Yeah. But it is going to be full of MMA fans. And MMA fans are either the most roided up people you've ever seen in your life, or they're fat nerds. That's it. That's the two they are. And so I got offered the gig, and I was like, fucking man, yeah. And then like, I'm at home one day, and I followed all the people who are on this show on Instagram already, and I saw I got a message off Michael Bisping. I was like, what the fuck? Is he that? Oh, he must have posted something. It must be Instagram. And I look, and he's like messaged me about doing the show, and I was like, "What the fuck, man!" Like, and I had to put my phone down and like just go make a cup of tea or something and go, before I reply to this. So I went and did the
Isn't it funny when you get those kind of messages and like you're actually scared to look at your phone? I'll often do that, and I'll put it face down because I'm like, oh, you know.
We were chatting about this on the way here, like the over familiarity. You don't want to be over, you know, like you kind of got to learn how to be around famous people, because you will start meeting them in this job, and you'll start being at an event with them where you're kind of peers.
Not all of us were trained from nappies. You know?
Yeah. Oh, my dad was
Fucking Lenny Henry's here again. Fucking hell, Christ.
My dad was more than happy to be over familiar with everyone, man. He was, but yeah. So I ended up like going to do the gig.
And so, just for people as well, so this was like a couple of MMA fighters, like so it's like Bisping and Paul Craig is a Scottish guy.
Paul Craig, Tom Aspinall, Brandon, he won the PFL lightweight.
But they're all just going on and just kind of telling stories for their fighting experience and all that.
So Tom Aspinall is currently
still game nights, but
basically, yeah.
Like after dinner speaker kind of stories.
An evening whiff sort of thing.
Yeah, so a few weeks before, like, Sloss was going to me like, "Hey, I'm doing Wembley." I was like, "You're doing Wembley?" And he's like, "Yeah, do you want to come watch?" I was like, "Yeah." Now, what he didn't tell me was that he was opening for a Dungeons and Dragons live show.
just fat nerds.
and it sold out Wembley in 15 minutes.
Wow.
This is huge, it's called Critical Role. And I've played Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'll go watch. Man, they were like the best behaved audience I've ever seen. They all come dressed up as their characters, and there was no heckling, they watched these people play.
It must be so weird doing it to fucking goblins and shit. Your audience dressed up.
And I was like, oh wow, this will be my that. And I'm there, and there's like Tom Aspinall, who's the current interim heavyweight champion. He's potentially going to fight John Jones, who's the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. This guy's
big deal.
He's a big deal. Paul Craig is there. I believe he's ranked number 9 for middleweight. He came down for light heavyweight. I stay up and watch Paul Craig's fights.
Right.
So, I've stayed up and watched Bisping's fights. I can't believe I'm there, and I'm trying not to geek out.
And and he knows that you do jiu-jitsu and stuff, and you've done.
Yeah, I wasn't going to try to talk to them about that because I wasn't going to go.
Try to fight them.
Yeah. I actually did a bit myself, actually, mate. Yeah. Like, I wasn't going to, because that'd be the equivalent of you've done a gig and someone come up and going, yeah, I'm quite funny in the office.
Yeah.
I was not going to talk to him about that. I did, of course, but I'm in my dressing room. I hear them all come in. And there's this at the O2 Indigo. So I've got a dressing room. They've all got theirs, but then there's a big sort of hangout area. And I can hear there's about 30 people there. And I'm recognizing the voices. I hear like there's Michael Venom Page, who's just gone over to UFC. He's about to fight Kevin Holland. So I'm like, what the fuck? And I walk out my dressing room and I bump into a guy and I go, oh, sorry. And it's Bisping. And he's cool as fuck. Like, he's so nice. Just being accommodating. He's like, mate, thank you so much for coming to do this. Because I think he was a bit... like, oh, why are the comedians not wanting to come and do this gig?
Yeah.
Because this is just going to be fun, and that's what he wants to make it. It's just going to be fun and a laugh. So I sort of said hello to him and everyone else, and then I went to side stage. I thought I'll let them all hang out. And Bisping comes up to me and he's talking to me, and I went to him like, man, I couldn't have that in a green room before a show. I couldn't have 30 people coming in and hanging out. And he was like, mate, it's a nightmare. It's like, I'm trying to remember what I'm about to do. And then I started speaking to him like he was a stand-up.
Yeah.
I bet all day you've had people ringing you going, yeah, where do I pick up my tickets? And he's got, the whole fucking day. Because you know that, like, if you're doing a show, like if you're doing the Fringe 10 minutes before you go on, someone will ring you and go, hey, mate, did you put those tickets? And you're like, I'm about to do a show. Like, why? Just don't come. Yeah. If you can't get in, why are you ringing me about this? So I go on, gig was fine, it was cool. And then, like, I went out drinking with them all afterwards, and it was fucking bizarre. It was like the most bizarre. It was one of the best nights of my career, hands down, because I'm out, and a bit of me was like, oh, I hope something kicks off. And I knock someone out. And they're all like, hey, Elliot, man, you're like, that was in my head.
Signed to the UFC.
Yeah, the whole time. Or not even that, they're just like, one day, like, Bisping's commentating on a fight, and he goes, that reminds me of when Elliot's still. And, oh, man, it was fucking cool. We got to do Manchester, and it's at the Apollo. I was like, I'm playing the Apollo. And I walk out. And I'm just talked over for 20 minutes. Like, that's what happens. It was...
Just the crowd or just...
There was people at the bar. They weren't there to see me.
Yeah.
It was opening.
Aye.
That's what it was. And I don't know if you guys have ever had that where you've opened for someone and you go like, oh, Yeah, this was a big deal for me, but these people here couldn't
don't
give a
give a
fuck.
fuck.
Like, that's all right, cool. I just did my 20 minutes and I was like, oh, well, they're all backstage. It doesn't matter. And I walk off and there's Tom Aspinall and Paul Craig there watching. And I had to be like, I'm like, that's not how it usually goes. Trying to convince like a UFC champion, like, and I was trying to be like, sometimes you have a fight and it doesn't quite go your way, and he was like, no, I'm really good. And I was like, all right, well. But yeah, it was insane to be in one of those moments as a comedian where you go, how the fuck am I here? I was at a table with like Bisping, Aspinall, and Paul Craig, and man, them guys can drink. I thought they were going to be professional athletes. But they're like, when they're not fighting, they're like, no, we fucking love a beer. So I was just sat around with them like drinking.
They've not get stand up to worry about, so they've just get two things.
He's ringing it up the creek, but I'm going to have to cancel tomorrow. That middle spot, fuck it, man.
Well, the funniest part, the sort of like, I got on with Bisping and Paul Craig. I mean, Paul Craig is a huge stand-up fan.
I've done stand up in front of him before, and it was in Yes Bar, and there was hardly anyone there, and he was on the front table, and he had his arm like, at the table like that, and it was so big and massive that I actually, when I go on stage, I just sort of walk back a bit. I'm like, I'm just going to keep a
Like
bit
it's
away
an
from you.
animal.
I genuinely feel like that.
They're big on the TV,
Right.
and then when you meet them, you go, oh fuck,
Yeah.
like you're a giant.
Yeah.
And he's a big dude, Paul Craig. But he could do. I think he could do stand up. Bisping's does a bit of it. He wasn't bad, Bisping.
He's funny. He is a charismatic guy.
He's funny, and he's funny when he's interacting with the crowd. If you go like, I mean, look, he's not going to be at Soho Theatre.
He could do some crowd work clips and put them out.
There was a couple of jokes where I was there going,
He's maybe more hot water than Sophia.
yeah, but Binty and that would be like, I don't think we could put that out. And like, they were going, the company that did it wanted to live stream it, and Bisping was like, nah, don't do that because I want to talk some shit. And I was like, all right. And he went on there and talked like, I was like, fucking hell, man. Like,
About people or like...
yeah. Like about people in the about like other commentators. I was crying about like active fighters. And he wasn't rude. But he was going on doing jokes about them.
Yeah.
He wasn't shying away.
Yeah.
If I was a fan and go and see that, I would be like, this is the best thing. Because he came out, he has that thing that a sort of good host, almost that Paul Smith thing where he comes out and he's your mate. Where he comes out and he's like, Paul Craig could be a really polished stand-up if he could go out. He goes and sees a lot of comedy, so he kind of gets what that is. But
Probably helps the audience are terrified not to laugh as well.
yeah,
Exactly,
well, they all kept bringing him drinks. The audience kept bringing him, and I was going like, isn't there like a whole problem with like things getting spiked, and like there's a whole big issue in the UFC of like tainted supplements.
Right.
So,
Fair enough, eh?
there's like people will have a protein powder. It's the same thing they make like another thing that's got a banned substance. They just pour it in there, and so like the UFC's always like to the athletes like, please, check and check and check. And they're just like, give us some tequilas, go on. But they were all like sound as fuck. Like they weren't. It was just a bit of a mental show.
Yeah.
It descended into chaos, but that's what you'd want it to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the way I got on with the funniest moment was I came off stage on the first night. I went back into this like bigger green room, and Aspinall and Paul Craig are talking, and you guys will find this funny, but like it could have been two old club comics talking about when it used to be cash. So that I walk in and Paul Craig's going, I fought out in Florida, and he goes, the way they tax you there, I tell you what, it ain't like back in the day when you used to fight out there. It's been always going, I had that in New York, mate. It's ridiculous, isn't it? And you go, I remember back when you used to, and I was just there going, oh my God, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Like everything's just the same.
Yeah.
And he's self-employed. The way me and Aspinall sort of clicked was we started talking about like tax returns and stuff. I met one of the best fighters in the UFC at the minute, and it was like, oh yeah, you got to get a good accountant and that.
But that's it. It's just work for them, then, as you say, politically
Yeah.
self-employed, and it's just it's like kind of office chat, innit? Like,
Well, everything comes a job.
Yeah.
All right, comedy. You think when you first start, you go, "Wow, imagine going to do all of these things." I remember the first time I got given a hotel for a gig.
Aye.
You're like, this is
Living the dream.
I'm the king.
Yeah.
I'm staying at Jury's in Nottingham. This is it. And then like eventually they moved. It's now a different hotel, and you go, this place has gone to shit.
It's not what
Didn't
it
get
used to be
fucking
like.
shortbread.
Yeah.
But I think that's amazing though, like those moments where, like, obviously because you're like right into MMA and you do jiu-jitsu and all that, and sometimes with stand-up you'll end up like getting to do a gig like that's sort of with something that's adjacent to a passion of yours. Like anytime I do anything to do with football kind of stuff.
Do you do stuff with Celtic?
No, but I would love to, but but occasionally you get asked on like BBC Scotland for the sport stuff or the football, and it's always up your buzz. And sometimes like there's other footballers, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even good enough to get in my fucking school team, and I'm standing with like the former Scotland keeper or something like that. But
we've both had run-ins with Scotland keepers.
we
haven't
actually both have.
What happened?
Well, just not
No,
run-ins,
just
but just
like
like
do
sharing the
stuff.
green room where we both did that. It's like the SFA do a thing before Scotland games and stuff.
Aye.
Like that.
But
That's
it's
David
all,
Marshall, and yeah, he's just like interested in gigs. Like, oh, you gigging tonight? Aye. I'm doing two.
Aye.
What about? And it's just chat like that, and it's just bog standard work chat. But
Yeah.
footballers have no concept of that though, because they're not. You know, it's a different thing. It's a team sport, and it's not.
Till they start doing after dinner speaking.
Yeah.
They love a bit of after dinner
Yeah.
speaking, don't they? But yeah, Aspinall was like that because he was asking me about comedy. Like he was like, right, so he was asking me like, he was like, I hope you don't mind me asking, like, how much do you make from gigs? So I was like talking to him about it, and I was like, back when you first start, you don't make any money. And he was like, oh, it's just kind of like MMA. I was like, yeah, no. I was like, I can't describe, like, yeah, you're drawn into it because you love it and you want to do it, but then it's, you know, and then we'd sort of talk like, yeah, and then you got to get agents because fighters have to have agents and have to have all of these things. So it is similar, and I do find that's the thing that's cool about stand-up is you have a job people are interested in, like, because they can't believe that someone does that.
Yeah.
So they go, oh, wow, that's... So what, you're going to go and do 2 shows tonight? And then they go, you're not nervous. You're like, this becomes a job, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
these guys are getting fucking punched in the face for a living, and they're like, I don't know how you can do that.
I couldn't do that.
But they were fucking, man, like, they were the coolest people to hang around with. And they were welcoming. Because I think they could see I was a big fan, and I was trying not to
Aye.
overstep them. I wasn't like, so hey guys, where are we all going for lunch tomorrow? Like, and they made sure that like I got a picture with them all and stuff. And then he's actually messaged me a couple of times. It was really cool. He sent me like a nice couple of messages and like reposted a clip of mine, which I was like,
cool.
which then a load of MMA fans called shit. That's always I was going to say, when you guys do like football stuff, football fans are the worst people to deal with in the world.
Yeah.
We're the worst of all of them.
Yeah.
Well, Chris MacArthur Boyd had because he had a bit about how, like, it was something about you know, because he doesn't like
So you
football,
go to football with
obviously.
your dad, and you sort of express emotions that you wouldn't in the house or whatever. It is kind of the crux.
And
of
like
the
you're
bit,
saying,
right?
like the song should basically all just be "My dad never told me he loved me" or something.
Did he put that up
he
as a
put it
tweet?
online,
It's
and
really
it
funny,
like got absolutely rinsed by like so many football
By people
fans and
whose dads
stuff.
don't love him.
But it was so it's a volatile thing in it, and like you need to just watch. But you get a lot of fucking.
But I deserve it.
You get so much,
I walk into
so
it.
many haters online and all that shit, and
d-
people.
Yeah, I put my foot in it last week badly. Real
We don't
badly.
need to go into it.
That one's
I'm
really
not
bad.
aware of this.
Let's know.
Oh no, we can. It's your podcast. I don't mind if you don't. you got to deal with the hate comments.
This is true. Right.
There's this like I got in a thing on Twitter with a guy, and he just tweets a lot of the time, and it just annoys me. And he's one of those guys who does. This is my biggest hate of anything in the world is someone who goes and grabs old clips of stand-ups or clips of people on podcasts and posts it to their audience who they know aren't going to like it. Like if you've built up a massive audience of one thing and you know that people follow you for your political views, and then you post someone maybe satirising those political views and go, look what this person's doing.
Yeah.
And then they all go, how dare this person exist for peace and love? They should never work again. He kind of did that, and I put my foot in it a little bit because I was like, man, you just need to get off your phone and go raise your kids. And then he went, are you saying that because I'm black? And I was like, no. I literally had to go, no. I forgot that was I forgot that was a stereotype. And then, I was in my head going, we need to really get stereotype. We need to get to a point with stereotypes where we're allowed 2 per group because there's now too many to remember.
You said the same thing about your own dad earlier. To be fair. He's white.
If anything, it was just projection on you.
I did say earlier that my dad who's Jewish.
And maybe you should stop flying and watch the cricket all the time.
Yeah, you're rumming your career.
And while I'm on it, those DVDs are fucking expensive as well.
Yeah. Have you, since you found out about our Jewish heritage, you raised the price of those, didn't you?
Oh, fucking hell.
The one thing I was going to ask you about, because does it annoy you when people just keep referencing your dad and be like, oh, the lesser talented stealing all that shit?
They don't even say that. They just call me a Nepo baby. How dare you, as I live rent-free in my dad's with the same agency. They've got a point. Like, it'd be insane to sit here and go, that I haven't benefited from my dad's career. That's absolutely insane to come on and say something like that. But I have. So you just have to go like, yeah, sure, all right. But when you get online, it's not cancelling, it's just when you get online hate. The first one I ever got properly was from football fans.
Why?
Because I was on a BT Sports show and Rangers were playing Liverpool. And I didn't say anything bad. You can't say anything bad on this show. It will get edited out. And all I said was like, oh, the country's going to embarrass themselves that week after the This Is Anfield sign's going to... I said they're going to like... We're all going to be embarrassed as the Rangers fans replace the This Is Anfield sign with a picture of Thatcher or something. I said something like that. Right. Like that's what it's going to be. It's going to, Scouse Republic of Liverpool, the Socialist Republic of Liverpool, the typical Rangers fan. That was all the joke was. And a contingency of Liverpool fans, like, went nuts at me.
Oh, really?
Like, insane. Like, thought I was, like, taking the piss out of, like, Hillsborough and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know, I wasn't doing that at all. And it was like, for 2 hours, my phone just went, boop, 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 you fucking scumbag. People going, like, everything you're... Because my dad is, like, been very... big on like the way that the families have been treated after Hillsborough and stuff, and there hasn't been any justice. And my dad's like written articles about it. And they're like, after everything your dad's done, and you do this, you scumbag. And I was like, what the fuck? Am I gonna have to put out like an apology statement? And then it stopped. It just stopped like that. And I was with another comedian, Andrew Mentz, who does a lot of football stuff, and he's like, yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. He's like, you say something about football, goes mad for 2 hours, and then they go on to something else. Yeah. And it's the same with like political stuff. If you say something political, whatever side it is, the other side's going to come to you, tell you why you deserve to die. And then within like 4 hours, it just stops. And then you kind of miss it. It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome. You kind of go, oh, I was having fun then. But cyclists were the worst.
The cyclists?
Cyclists are quite vocal, aren't they? Remember Ross Leslie had
They gunned after Ross Leslie, didn't they?
Yeah.
What did they do with you?
What did you do to them?
Again,
Maybe we'll put this in the Patreon.
No, do you know what? It wasn't that bad. I did a joke about like it was Jeremy Vine. I just put it up about how I believe cyclists have every right to be on the road. They have the law of the road. But the problem is motorists also have another law, and that law is Newton's third law of motion. That was the joke. Which isn't... I'm not even taking the piss out of cyclists. I'm saying that's car drivers have that arrogance because they're driving a car. That they don't have to worry about the cyclist, which is what the problem is. But if you're a cyclist, you're a fucking idiot. You're a lunatic. Like, it's insane. It's an insane way to get around, especially in London. It's mental.
Dangerous.
The roads were built in the 1800s. And now they're not big enough for 2 lanes of traffic. Yeah. And you're going to ride a push bike in the middle of a city where everyone hates each other and is angry. Not that you guys from Glasgow could ever understand such division. So it's insane. And they went, people started sending me stories of like family members who were like, I'm not laughing, but like, I'm like, why are you sending me this traumatic story about a family member? I'm a comedian. I'm not.
You've not killed you've not hit a cyclist.
No,
that we know of.
But I'm not in charge.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one who changes the law. I just did my shitty joke.
Yeah. Take it up with Isaac Newton, for fuck's sake.
I said that to one person. I said that blame Newton, not me. And he had sent quite a harrowing story in, but it's because the thing with online, I think you can either apologise, which sometimes you're going to have to do. But you
Or
can also
double down.
well, that's the other thing is that the internet it's you're leaving yourself open. It's not about who's right. It's about who's funniest. And sometimes saying the worst thing possible is like the audacity of it in itself is quite funny. I think sometimes you get it wrong, and you have to open the notes app and start writing your start typing out. So get your agent to send you the template of the apology.
Delete the name, put yours in. Fucking hell.
But I'm surprised you guys like don't get like because it's always about stuff that you never think it's going to be about. The ones that kick off.
Yeah. For well, I mean, I don't check the comments a lot, but did we get any from this podcast?
Oh, that's no fucking.
No, I don't think
bad
so.
laugh.
We don't really stray into anything too controversial on this.
This
generally.
episode will be 3 minutes by the time.
Where I was trying to get to was actually because I seen that you had opened for your dad before. What's
Oh
it like
yeah,
doing
that was horrible. It was that was arguably one of the worst gigs I've ever done.
Really?
When was this?
A few months ago. So my dad, I knew he had like cancer, so I was like going on the road with him to just sort of be with him.
Yeah.
And make £300. And he had me open for him, and one of the gigs in Evesham that actually my gran came to.
Oh, man.
First time she's seen me on
weather?
stage. It was cloudy. She brought it up. And I went on and fucking tanked because my dad's audience are all these. A lot of them are cool, but there's some of these old school lefties, and I was raised on the left. And the thing with like identity politics, I find is it's like religion. Like people won't have if you ever go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like I don't mind that you believe that, but that part of it, it's fine to go like maybe Jeremy Corbyn like did something wrong within the campaign to not get elected. That the British public went, we don't like this guy.
Yeah.
That's perhaps what happened. And they go, no, it was all the machine that turned against him. And you go, yeah, but maybe he did. And then they can't have that's the case, that their guy lost. And every side does it, it's going to be the same when the Tories are going to be voted out, like in a landslide next election. And that's, the people on their side will go, oh, it's because Labour have done, I don't know, did a rain dance or something. I don't know. And yeah, so I was opening for him in front of these people, and it just 20 minutes of silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't give a fuck either. I don't give a shit. I was going to him, I'll be back. I was like, it's my dad. I can get rebooked. I've got 3 more of these in it before he's like, listen, let's get your sister. Have you guys ever opened for someone and it's gone like bad? It's a lonely place when you're opening for someone.
I've had ones that have just been like kind of fine,
Yeah.
mediocre, and
Yeah,
you're just
I've had
like,
ones that are fine, but like also I'm like they're not here for me anyway. It's
No.
like they're there for whoever they've paid for the
Dungeons
tickets.
and Dragons tournament.
Exactly.
They loved Daniel, but I cannot. He went out there and referenced Dungeons and Dragons, and they were like, "Fucking this guy." Well, who have you opened for? That it was like has there been anyone you've opened for where you've like you can't wait to open for them, and then you've like gone, "Oh fuck." That went.
I've luckily it's always been alright, but I've never done like big level like arenas
Yeah,
or
I've never
big
done
theatres or anything like that. They've always been quite manageable sizes and like acts that aren't million miles away from me.
Same, yeah.
Just name them because that's such a big. That'd be quite funny if you just started slagging them off, going, they're not like big comedy.
They're fucking shite. Those people, yeah.
think they should have been opening for me. No. I've not actually. I don't get asked to open that much. I opened for John Bishop in Fairmont once, and that was really cool because it was like the biggest room I'd played at that time. But that's a work in progress, man. It's in like a big theatre.
He's a cool guy as well.
Yeah,
he's a pretty
he's really nice.
sound, just down to earth dude.
But you know what's weird? It's because I thought it went all right. It was like fine, and then like but after it, you know what I mean? I've never like opened for him again. I think, oh god, did he just fucking think I was shite? But I don't know. But you never.
Yeah, I had the worst I ever had. And this is going to sound like a name drop, but it's important for the story because it goes awfully. It's Theo Von.
Oh, aye.
Theo Von.
Fuck me, man. That went badly.
What was the venue?
Because you've got the same hairstyle as him.
Yeah. Fuck. No, I was with my girlfriend.
American comic for people who don't know him, but he's
Yeah.
quite well known.
Yeah, and I was quite excited for it. And it was he already had an opener, and I was attached to it. So it was like I didn't really know why I was there.
Yeah.
He didn't really know why I was there. And the other people who all opened for him was I can't remember the other guy. It was like Adam Rowe, and I think everywhere he had 3 other openers for him on the tour who were from the UK. He follows all of them on Instagram. I'm the only one who doesn't. But I turned up and I'd asked for a ticket for my girlfriend at the time.
Ringing him up 10 minutes before. It's like, why is this fucking cunt bothering me?
I texted the promoter like 2 days before, like, hey, is it okay if I bring a plug? Absolutely fine. If not, I understand. Like, they were like, nope, not a problem. We turn up and it was that classic venue thing where the staff there don't really understand that people think backstage you walk in and you're like welcomed with like a glass of champagne. It's that you meet someone who doesn't understand that you're arriving there.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time you turn up and you go, I'm here to do the show. And they go, is there a show on? And you go, yeah, that's why you're here. And I went,
You're not the guy in the poster. What the fuck?
yeah. Oh man. And we go side stage, bring her in, and I go, I'm with my girlfriend, and I was trying to go to like, can I get her ticket? And she goes to a seat because I think a big thing is don't bring someone into the green room pre-show, especially if you're an opener.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when people bring their mates into a green room pre-gig and stuff, it's a little bit, there's an etiquette in the green room.
Especially if you don't know the person and you've never met them before, you know.
100%. And we walk into the green room and there's like Theo Von, his opener, Ari, who's a really cool dude, really good comic. And sort of sit down and my girlfriend at the time starts asking him questions.
Theo Von.
Yeah. And I was there like, and she's a big Theo Von fan.
Right.
So I was there going, hey, wait, your seat and stuff. But there's like an hour to go till the show.
Yeah.
So it feels like kind of like responding to the questions. And then she went like, oh, how long have you been sober for? Because she like listens to his podcast. And it was like quite apparent that I think he'd like relapsed recently, but hadn't made it public.
All right.
So he was kind of going like,
Has he made it public now? Because this could be an exclusive.
fucking me, don't follow me on Instagram.
You heard it here first, guys.
I think he had made it quite. I was watching a thing of him on it, and he was being like, you know, I've been like 18 months, and I was like, oh, cool. That was around the time frame or something of it. So, or this was a few years. This was about 4 years ago actually. So I think it's fine. And it was like quite apparent. So he got a bit like nervy,
Yeah.
and then there was just this weird dynamic, and I was like, this is all because of me. It's not her fault.
Yeah.
She doesn't she's trying to make conversation as you would do. So then she got to see. I went out and opened. I had a good gig. And then I went up to Theo and I started apologizing, and he then got freaked out that I was apologizing. So he was like, no. So then it was that thing where I thought he hated me. He then thought I hated him. And we just had this weird fucking dynamic where I was like, I went and watched the show. The show was great. And I went up to it at the end. I sat there for 2 minutes. I got a photo with him. And then I was like, I'm just going to leave this dude alone. And when I left, he was like, cheers, man. And I was like, he's happy to see me walk out of this green room. And I like, on the way, I had to go to I had to go to my girlfriend like, okay, look.
You fucked this.
You fucked this. No, I was just like, I had to go like, okay, right, just for future reference, we shouldn't be both being like if we're in a green room in a situation like that, you can't start asking people personal questions before they go on stage, because he's in his head about to, and like the whole way back I was like, that guy fucking hates me. But then it's that classic thing where he's probably he's forgotten.
Yeah, that's
that
it.
Yeah, exactly.
You always
The
think,
God complex, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's come full circle.
I do think every day he probably wakes up and think, that fucking cunt. He's
I
not
thought it was
there.
Mark Steele I was booking.
he did a classic like LA Hollywood thing, by the way, where he like asked me, because I went to him like, oh, my dad's a stand-up. He went, what's your stand-up? He went, what's your dad's name? And I went, Mark Steele. And he went, yeah, I've heard of him. And I was like, there's no fucking way that Theo Von, that Theo Von's listening to Mark Steele's in town.
He's like, you know, man, fucking £70 is a lot in dollars. we were actually discussing that when I was down in London at that comedians party, and you were discussing potential matchups for a comedy.
For comedy boxing.
Aye.
Is this recorded?
Aye,
Yeah.
But you said who you thought I should fight,
That'd be a good fight.
which I was amazed at.
Who was that again?
Mike Rice, but I don't want to fight Mike, man. He'd fucking leather me.
No, but this is my point. Jennings has got enough psycho in him that he would train seriously for it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, he
like
would, yeah, take
Mike
it seriously,
Rice
yeah.
would take it. Mike Rice, I think, would be a hard cunt. Like, I think he'd be a bit.
He's deceptively big, man.
He's a big boy,
guy.
but
He'd have an
so's
unorthodox
Jennings.
style, I think, as well, Mike.
Street
Yeah.
fighter, yeah.
Like, he'd come out and fight like he was trying to win a cow. Do you know what I mean? But you'd be like, you'd go and take it like serious.
He'd win on points because, you know, you've
Aye, training camp.
I don't think it'll happen because like, it needs someone who can be bothered to organise it, and it's
They
not.
did that
me.
once, didn't they? Because Nelson was fighting Gav Webster.
Did you fight in that one?
Yeah, I beat Rowe.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Adam Rowe. Yeah.
I thought you meant Ro Campbell. Well, everyone's going to go.
I feel I would love to do that though, but I would be scared of just getting like a fucking brutal knockout. and getting fucked
you
permanently.
wouldn't. The gloves would be too big. I mean, it can happen, but I don't know. If it happened with the comedians again, it'd have to be like you'd have to do it with podcasters. So the one thing you'd want in the matchups is you'd either want the two people who are doing it to take it dead seriously or not seriously at all. Anything, if you get that the wrong way round, it's horrible to watch. It's someone who's not done any training being beaten up by someone who's treating it like they're fighting for the world title. It's not funny. But when it's two people who haven't trained, it's hilarious. And then when it's two people who have trained, it comes like, oh fuck, there's now like a competitive element to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think UV Mike Rice would be. That'd be good.
Good
Did
Patreon content.
Who do you think I could fight?
Me.
Do you think?
Gareth War.
Gareth what?
Gareth
He's
War.
got a couple of inches on
He's
you.
got a bit
he
of,
does.
reach on you.
bet.
You and CMB would be the best one.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't hit
Fancies
CMB. You couldn't hit
His
CMB.
glasses.
Oh man, like I would nothing. In my head, I'm imagining CMB in boxing shorts with boxing gloves. But you know how he looks when he takes his glasses off.
I'm just
About to do a
picturing.
ring walk. I'd be like, no, that you can't do this.
But I think
Can't beat up Millhouse.
CMB's deceptive. I think he's got a bit of psycho on him.
He's
as
got
well.
psycho.
He's got a bit of psycho in him. He's got a bit of
cheating.
Yeah, because his CMB starts doing a steroid cycle. Turns up yokes for a
It's like in in Space Jam when the wee tiny monsters turn into the big fucking.
finds a way to steal Tyson Fury boxing ability.
One of the monsters.
Yeah, UV Rice would be the person I was talking to about that. We had a semi-serious talk because the one with
Who would you fight? No.
I don't think there's anyone. I think okay. This person wouldn't fight me not because they think I would beat him or anything.
Theo Vaughan.
No, because they don't like him. A genuine grudge match, only on his side as well. The person I would want to fight wouldn't fight me because they could make serious amounts of money from fighting. They're a way bigger celebrity. I'm not famous
your
as
dad?
No. Hold on. I'm more Instagram famous. I would be more of an appeal. Could you imagine if I beat up my cancer, emaciated, just gone through chemotherapy dad?
That would be an expensive DVD. Man.
Paul Smith, I would, because he does MMA,
aye.
but he wouldn't entertain the thought of it, so it wouldn't happen. And I would absolutely understand. Like he could go fight in a big thing and make a load of money.
He's like the McGregor of comedy fighting now.
Yeah, I'm not going to be lame enough to be like, oh, come. He's
Call
full,
him out.
yeah, he's full professional. He would be someone I would go like, oh, we both train MMA. Like I've done like 40 seconds of an MMA in a club. Like he could. That could happen. It would have been Kai Humphreys at Muay Thai, but I don't think Kai would want that fight anymore. I think Kai's a bit like he's like 40. He likes having a beer, and he's not going to train like he used to. A few years ago he would have, but I don't. you don't want to be a cunt and start calling people out. You know what I mean? Like, there's
This
no.
is specifically with Ashley doing now.
Daniel Lee Davis. Where you've had it too good for too long.
You're taking everything I work for, motherfucker.
Lost voice guy. We're fucking. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think there's anyone I could actually. I'm not good at mixed martial arts, but I'm better than most people at mixed martial arts. That fighting them would put them at an immediate disadvantage. So I couldn't fight an actual fighter because they would beat the living shit out of me within 20 seconds. But I couldn't fight a comedian who's not done that. I could maybe go into like maybe some influencer or something, and I'd want to hide like my ability.
KSI or something.
He'd fuck me up.
Yeah.
He would fuck me up immediately. Yeah, I wouldn't get out the first round. I would. Him, Logan Paul, all of those people would murder me within seconds. Like, I'm amazed when influencers call them out. I'm like, I'm like, how fame hungry are they?
Just because they've been training like fuck, basically.
Yeah, they're like athletes. They're not.
Yeah.
They train at KSI trains at shoot fighters, and that's like that's where Michael Venom Page, coaches to fights out of, and yeah, they fight to a really serious high standard. They're not shit. They're
Not professional.
They're not professional. They maybe could fight professionally. I don't know what the standard of low level professional boxing is, but they would knock most people out. That's why I would never go in against some influencer who'd been doing something like that.
Yeah.
What I'd want to do, the ideal for me is that someone doesn't know my ability, puts me in against someone who I then knock out and then I retire. I'm not a fighter. I don't want. The minute fighting's ever got difficult, I've quit.
Yeah.
Every jiu-jitsu tournament I've ever been in, the minute I start losing, I'll just tap. I'm like, I'll go home. I haven't got any fight in me whatsoever. I'll turn up, get my Instagram pic, act hard, go home. No one else has to see that I lost.
It's like, I give dying your ass.
Yeah.
It's a great time here tonight,
Open spot boxer, get a photo with a stand backdrop.
And so you're up in Glasgow this weekend.
Yeah, doing the Glee.
Yes.
It's a cool venue.
How do you enjoy playing Glasgow?
I've only just learned how to play it as an English act.
Really?
Yeah, I never used to enjoy Glasgow audiences until I've been doing it in the last couple of years.
Right.
And I've learned someone as English as I sound. Because when I walk up, people probably don't know my political opinions of that. I understand like British history, especially like the way England's gotten all like you. I think as an English act sounding how I sound, you've got to come up here to Glasgow and not try to be one of them. Don't try to be like jumping with the Rangers Celtic banter.
You're probably the first English act we've had on a long time who's not claimed some sort of Scottish ancestry.
I've got Scottish. I forgot to do that. No, I'm not Scottish. I don't.
He wasn't a fucking billionaire.
Yeah, I loved watching your keeper get lobbed from 40 yards out. I make no mistake of talking about it the same way you like watching us go out on penalties. That's what it is. But coming up here, I think just don't try to, the same if you go gig in Ireland. Don't try and be
Even Liverpool or something like that as well.
100%. Liverpool's another one. It's got a similar thing to the Glasgow identity. But then when you get like Glaswegian audiences on board, man, I was like, oh fuck. I didn't realise it could be like this. Like they were just fun. Like they were just so much fun. And yeah, but I'm always a little bit nervous. Yeah. The thing that helps is the MC.
Yeah.
Whoever's MCing. If you have Johnny Glasgow go out and they speak to an English person in the front row and the audience starts to boo and they get the audience to cheer in with a booing, I'm going to have a rough gig.
Really?
And I've had that happen a few times.
Really?
And I've seen that.
Isn't it? It's set up to film.
Yeah, I've seen it happen in London though, where someone does like an anti-American bit of material and then they bring on an American act.
Yeah.
And they have to start by apologising. And I was actually like Martin Moore did one of the best bits of MCing I've ever seen in like hosting a gig. He was front row. There's a guy from Cambridge. Asked him where he's from. The guy goes to Cambridge.
Where was this? By the way?
Glasgow Glee. And this table went to boo. And Martin Moore went, no. We've all paid to come watch comedy tonight.
Yeah.
This guy's part of this audience. You're all family. You're to see a good show. We're not going to do that. This is a welcoming city.
Yeah.
And then everyone went, oh yeah, and just applauded.
Yeah.
And I was closing and I was like, I was nervous because it was Gary Little opening. Marty Moore and Jojo in the middle, and everyone was like Northern Irish or Scottish. So I was a little bit like, oh fuck, like they've got an English cunt on last. And then I went on, and it was just lovely. And I was like to him afterwards, like, you did that.
Yeah.
Whereas, but I'm sure like when you guys go down to London, like you can have like a similar experience with.
Yeah.
I always wondered, like, how does it? You know, to be fair, I've never seen any of you do this, but like people go down to London. I think people from London can come up to Scotland and start talking about like the tube, which is a stupid thing to do. But people from like Glasgow or regional people who do like a regional circuit might go down to London, and they start talking about like Socky Hall Street or something, and then the audience is like, man, we don't know what that is.
Aye. It's the same mistake. It's just thinking. It's just not realizing that your stuff, if you've been doing it in a particular place, won't travel. But
We're reminded of that often though, because when you gig in Edinburgh, it's so international that you can't be too local.
Yeah.
Really.
You know what I mean? So it feels like London, doesn't it?
But Edinburgh's like that. Edinburgh's similar to London like that. Like if I do the store, I can't do London material because no one there's really from London. But I also think when people go up and say like, "Oh, have you ever performed in Scotland?" They go, "Yeah, I did the Fringe." I'm like, "That's not." you did. Or whenever people go, "Oh yeah, no, we went to see loads of stuff at the Fringe." And you're like, "Oh, what did you see?" And they're like, "Oh, Jack Whitehall, Tom Lucy, Grace Campbell." And you're like, "You didn't see any." It was so diverse. You're like, you didn't see any.
Scottish circuit's great, honestly.
But do you guys find it like when you go down to London, it's a little bit more like how does it go like coming from Glasgow down to London?
Depends. Like I think Top Secret's great. I always have a good gig there. I'd say the tougher one would be the boat show, because that's quite a lot of suits and mad finance guys just after work, and some of them are coked up and stuff. And then I've been on where I've just went like I'm from Glasgow and I've had that kind of boo thing from like a couple of fucking finance bros down the front and stuff
In London?
Yeah.
I used to get more in my head about it when I first went down, but it was because I think it's more to do with the accent than anything else. It's just that people find the accent hard to understand. When I first went down for ages, I was like, "Oh, I'm Scottish and they fucking hate us and all this sort of stuff." And then I realised, no, they don't actually. And if anything, it's more of, there's maybe a class thing that's a wee bit different in London when it is all the finance folk and all that. And then you're trying to find something to relate to them about.
We didn't have foot like that.
What's that?
We don't have foot like that.
Up here.
No.
Yeah, well, the
Not
Glaswegian,
like that. Not like that. I don't
the
think.
Glaswegian finance industry. I'm in the financial district.
But it's rare that you would do a gig here that's predominantly most of the audience work in those type of jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
But in London, it's like every cunt's wanting to take a finance, whatever.
MCing in London is, what do you do? Recruitment. What do you do? Work in HR. What do you do? Recruitment. That's all. That's all the jobs are. It's just full of that, and it's
Aye. But
Glasgow audiences on a whole are better than. I'm not just saying this. They're better than London audiences because they have there's more of that office culture in London where like HR and stuff people come on office works nights out and are very uptight. Whereas you can't in Glasgow and it's like people go out to relax. People come out to, and like I said, don't try and, as like an English person, I always think don't try and come on and, hey, I'm like you guys. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. But if you have a little bit of knowledge and show that you have that, they're like, "Oh, cool! You've bothered to take your time to learn something."
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So would you just like reference something from Glasgow or something you've noticed, and then that's your way?
Not like Edinburgh, hey? Just go and slag up Edinburgh. Applause break. But I'm not going to go on and go, "Hey, you bampot," and then they're on. You know what I mean? Like that's
no, exactly. And it's funny. It's tricky to get that when you first start, like try to get the right thing to say that shows that wee knowledge, but not doing that kind of thing as well. But no, I would say now, like for me, like London, because what used to happen is that I sometimes would go in and I wouldn't reference a Scottish writing, and I would hear people like listening going, "He's Scottish," because they'll like try to play it, they'll try to, and so I was like, right. So the thing I do now is I do address it at the top just to get it out the way. This is what you're hearing, and then that's it, and then I just go and do the rest of the thing. But no one actually cares.
Yeah,
that's what you realise.
It's London's so diverse, and I mean, like no one. I feel when I watch acts walk on, it's like you see a lot of Top Secret, and they're like, I'm from this place, and they're like, "Isn't that?" And you're like, "Well, no, it's like this is one of the biggest cities in the world. Everyone's from, there's people from everywhere. It doesn't really matter. No one. You're better off being from Essex Like, because there's not many people from Essex coming to London anymore. So that's like that whole, but I can understand if you've got an accent, especially if Scottish, you do have to kind of go on. I could see that and go like, yes, hello, I am Scottish.
Yeah.
And then the audience goes, thank God they acknowledge it. Otherwise would have.
Did they not know?
Yeah.
Someone's got to tell this guy.
We're all thinking it. Glad somebody's saying it. This guy's Scottish.
The elephant in the room. I know. But listen, Elliot, thanks so much for joining us, mate.
Cheers,
Thank
man.
you. That was great,
Thank you for
man.
having me.
Before we wrap up, have you got anything to plug? Are you doing a tour?
Yeah, I'm on tour and I'm doing Glasgow Comedy Festival and the tickets are selling. Well, let me find the date of it because I always do that. I come on podcasts and forget to plug things. And I leave that and I go, why have my tour sales not gone up after I did that? And then I forgot to tell anyone I was doing it. So yeah, on March 15th, I'll be in Glasgow. I think it's at the Old Hairdresser or something.
Yeah. Good room, that.
It's a nice
It's nearly sold out. Monkey Barrel on a Sunday. Oh, that is not nearly sold out. So on the Sunday, the 17th of March, I'll be in Edinburgh doing Monkey Barrel. So yeah, if you've come along, it'll be good.
Yeah.
You could have seen it at the Fringe there. I don't know why I'm redoing it in Edinburgh, but there we go. That's what happens.
Let's get the locals out for this one,
Yeah, exactly.
That is true. No one from Edinburgh has ever come to my show.
But aside from that, anything else? Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at Elliot Still. I'll be on Twitter being retweeted by someone that you follow who you ideologically agree with. Cancelling. At ElliotStill.com. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Brilliant.
Nice one.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us,
Oh,
mate.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Before we go, just please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can follow us at SumLaughPod on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And send any questions you've got to our email address, which is sumlaughpod@gmail.com. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Cheers,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Cheers, man.
Oh, thank you. That was so much fun.